Morning everyone. Here we are with another how-to vapor sampling edition. I've just opened up this well and I've got the soil vapor probe here. Sorry folks, I realized I forgot to show you and film how to VOC check when you're vapor sampling. So this video is going to show you how it's done right now. Enjoy. What you would do is you take the end of this tubing and then you would stick the end of the VOC meter inside. I'm just gonna hold that there. And then I'm looking at the mini ray display here to see if it jumps at all. It's just 0.0. So initial VOC reading is nil. As you can see, I have a bunch of stuff here and I'm gonna go through it with you now, just so you know everything that you'll need to soil vapor sample. So got my field sheets, miscellaneous tools, duct tape, tube cutter, a bunch of tubing and helium tanks, some wrenches and stuff. This is the helium tank I'll be actually using. Got my mini ray 3000 VOC meter. I've got the pump, got my TD tubes which actually collect the sample, and then I've got my bucket. This we use to put over the soil vapor tubing to kind of create this relatively airtight area, which goes into the whole helium testing thing, which I'll be showing you later. I've got the dry cal. This is what we use to measure how much air is actually being pumped out of this tubing. And then this is the helium measurement tool. It measures how much helium is being sucked in through this guy here. So yeah, that's all the tools here, and then I'm gonna go through it step by step on how to collect the sample. I've got the soil vapor probe here. Got the pump, turn it on, start it pumping away. And then I'm gonna watch the line for any water. For the first few minutes here, I'm going to just leave it and let it pump air out and purge, and it's going to pump out whatever vapor's in there for at least 15 minutes. I'll probably leave it longer, and that way we're getting a nice representative soil vapor sample. Okay, so here we go on the helium shroud testing. This is where we check to see if there are any leaks anywhere along our sampling line. So I've been purging for an hour. Whatever vapor is coming out of here is pretty good and representative. So I'm going to make it so that this tubing comes up from the well, goes into the shroud, and then back out the shroud. Shroud is over top of the well. Sometimes you have to use a little bentonite to seal this off, but this should be good. Got the helium here, and helium's gonna go in here. I'm gonna turn the helium on fully. That's gonna pump the helium into the shroud here. I'm gonna wait till this guy fills up with about 50% helium, and then I'm going to stick the helium detector into the tubing, and if I get any more than 2% helium in the line, that means there's a leak somewhere in the system, and I'm going to have to troubleshoot that. So let's see what we get. Grab a sip of coffee. We just got to 50%. So that means that at least half of the volume in this shroud, aka bucket, is helium. So if there are any cracks or leaks anywhere, it's going to get into the line and we'll be able to detect it. So I'm going to pull the detector out and I'm going to let it zero. It's going to take just a little bit. Put it all the way in the tubing. Take a look. Yeah, so that's good. No jumps at all. no leaks. So we can shut the helium off. We can shut this guy off. And we can start sampling. So first thing we're gonna do before we hook up the sample TD tube, we're going to verify the flow. So this is like a mock TD tube. It's just made to measure correct volume we want from our true TD tube when we go to sample. Look at the arrow here. I'm not sure if you can see, but the flow has to go this way. So I'm gonna put it in here, which is the inlet. I'm gonna hook up the pump on the outlet. There we go. So we'll see what it's drawing at. And just so you know, I want this to be at 100. So it's pretty darn close, which is great. Here we've got our proper TD tube, and it's got clamps on the end to make sure it's good and fresh. So I can take the ends off. Same thing, gonna check for the arrow, make sure I put it on the right way. Here we're all set up. TD tube in between the probe tubing and the dry cal, so that when the air sucks, it goes into the TD tube and we collect whatever we're gonna collect from the soil vapor probe. And then the pump is here, so nothing's on. I'm gonna make sure that I time this correctly. So we already know that it's going to draw at about 100 milliliters a minute. I want 500 milliliters of air to pass through here. So I'm going to time it for pretty much exactly 5 minutes. And then I'm going to collect a flow reading at the start and a flow reading at the end and average it out. All right, we're ready to go. Start the stopwatch, start the pump, and start the reader. Nice. So initial reading 101.8 milliliters per minute. That's great. Coming up on the 5 minutes here, 10 seconds to go. I'm collecting my final reading, 101.9. That's awesome. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Kill the pump. There we go. That's 500 milliliters in the TD tube. Got the sample. I'm going to seal it up again. Putting the screw caps on, make sure they're nice and tight. Pop it in the air sealing tube. We're good to go. Got what we came for, all packed up, and I'm moving on to the next location. So if you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. Thanks for watching, and I hope you learned something.